when we went from the Classic to the 2100 Plus, what we did is we took the PTOs off of the transfer gearbox and put them on the transmission. All right, that gave you the ability to add a PTO if you were doing higher flows. You didn't have to go through the process of connecting everything. You just hit one master switch on it and have your hydraulic system. This is kind of the same way, but now you don't have the switching of the PTOs. When you turn the switch system on, it's all automatic. So it will sense what you're asking for. All you have is just the adjustment of the flow. So that's what your multi-flow's for. I see that you have multi-flow, so if you look at that hose reel panel on the truck on the right, you'll see that little round circle to the right of the panel, kind of up in that corner, and it's a hydraulic valve that you would either turn out to reduce water pressure or increase water pressure. That's what we're doing here electronically. So in a sense, that's similar to what you had. You've got multi-flow. We'll get into more detail on that. The 2100i, what it is more simplicity as far as electronics go. Before on your vactors there, you'd have to shift it from work mode to road mode. You'd have to probably put it in reverse neutral, then drive to shift to make sure you didn't grind gears. You would put it back in drive, and if you didn't have front motor control, you were out of the cab with it in gear. All right. Now when we push one button with our foot on the brake, it engages everything. Just that simple. It lets you know when you take your foot off the brake, you get out of the cab and you go to work. Right? So simplicity. The 2100 Classics were designed to run about a 1-to-1 ratio. In other words, if I wanted 2,000 PSI, I ran 2,000 engine RPM. Right? No longer the case. And this is going to be the hardest thing for me to get through to you guys, is this truck does not run at high RPM. We're going to run this truck at 1,100. Period. And 14 maybe if I need a full 80 gallons a minute. I can vacuum at 1,100 RPMs. Why did we do that? You're hearing more comfortable, a little bit easier on you on the outside. So please don't try to push this. I had a guy yesterday kept wanting to raise RPM. I had to finally prove that him raising that RPM didn't do anything. I could do the exact same thing at 1,400 engine RPMs. All right? So no screaming engines.
So you can climb a hill at 11.
I at 14 with 80 gallon a minute. I need 1,400 engine RPMs, but I don't need 1,400 engine RPMs to vacuum. If you set up properly, we can vacuum at 1,100 RPMs. I just need that 1,400 to get a full 80 gallons a minute out of the water pump.
So there's like no govern or anything like that to like raise it and cut off?
There is a governor. There is a maximum of 1,600 engine RPMs, but there's no need to run that. The only purpose why we allow you to go that high in RPMs is if I had 400 or 500 feet of vacuum hose out, and because of the loss of velocity through that hose, I would need the increasement. But you're right over the hole, so I can vacuum 40 feet down with no problem at 1,100 RPMs.
Are the nozzles that come with this truck, are those rated for 80 or 60?
You got 3 nozzles. You have a 40, a 60, and an 80. We'll talk about those nozzles. So that's kind of the basics of the truck. This is designed for operator health, operator safety, operator comfort. And then it gets into fuel cost as far as running low RPMs, more efficient, all right? So, and it gives you the ability to run 40 gallons a minute or 80 gallons a minute, whatever your application requires. Let's get started with the pre-trip. We'll do a little walk around, talk about fluid levels. Did I get any mechanics here yet?
They're going to come when we take this into the field. Basically, they wanted to wait.
They wanted to wait. Okay.
Yeah, until the PO's could.
Repeat myself again. Huh?
Right. Yeah.
I try to do everybody at one time,
right.
so that way everybody hears the same
It's okay,
thing.
I'm recording.
So let's go over here by the left-hand side of the truck. So you have a CNG engine. This is the Cummins ISL9 engine. It's operated on CNG. It's important that we use the proper oils and fluids in the engine. Even though it is a linered motor, that's going to the antifreeze is going to be important what we use. But because of the type of fuel we're running, we're going to use a regular automotive type oil. You're not going to put your diesel oils for this. So when you go to your oil, it's going to be more of a car type oil than it would be diesel.
Just regular, no silicone, or synthetic.
Synthetic, if you want. That's up to you if you want to go through that expense. Right? but the type of oils we use, we don't need the CJ4 tier or low ash oils like a diesel, particular diesel street. This is going to be more of an automotive type oil. And the shop should get you the right stuff. Cummins has a certain spec on oil for this, but oils are important. You got your power steering fluid located here. You have a fuel filter, and it's got a petcock on the bottom. If that was a diesel, you would check for water there, right? This is a diesel. Don't open that. It's going to be gas pressure. Is all you're gonna bleed gas off. That's all you're gonna do. There's no water there at all. If there is a problem with any oils from the compressed natural gas system, there's another filter back by the bottles that the mechanics would have to take care of. Nothing that you would. Okay? So our engine oil check point is located right here on the shallow handle. And please notice I got to turn a quarter turn to unlock it. I'm saying he's broken off because guys don't realize you got to unlock it before you jerk it out of there. So be aware that you've got to unlock it. You got your transmission dipstick located a little further back. And on the transmission, it tells you what fluid has to be put in here. And if you don't put this fluid in, it's going to void the 5-year warranty you have on the trans. Right? So this maintains warranty by using the TES 295 synthetic oil. Right? So don't put regular Dextron in. You have a camera system. That's what all these cables are. You'll have a right and a left camera. You got a backup camera, and you got a forward camera off the front hose. Let's walk around to the other side. I want to talk about the
transmission.
Well, at least if I was driving it, that's a guarantee. The camera that you're filming, you can see it on the screen, which I believe.
Get on the side over
You
there.
hear voices, so I don't have everybody. Come on over. So I had a question on, is it best to check the transmission when it's in here? The engine should be running in neutral to check transmission. When we move the hose reel out, we've started the motor. When you check your engine oil, realize we used up some of that oil. It's on the top of the motor. It's going to be a 1/4 inch lower on the dipstick than what it would have been if I didn't start the engine. You don't need to leave the hose reel out, just use a 1/4 inch rule. So if it's at add, you're fine because you just started it. When you check your transmission and it's you start your motor and in neutral, check the dipstick. Remember, it's still cold, so it's going to be a 1/4 inch lower than what it will be when it warms up. So again, anytime you're at the add mark, you should be fine. The coolant bottle is located right here. And one thing that I want to stress, even though these decals say purple, purple means absolutely nothing anymore, because I can get an automotive gasoline engine coolant that's also purple. All right, this is a linered motor. We have to protect the liners from pitting. That's why it's very important that it must have the SCA additive. So you're only going to add extended life or extra heavy duty coolants. You're not going to add anything else. Leave it to the shop. If anything, just write it up. Let them add it. Right? If you run into an issue, remember this truck is all computerized. It's got computer sensors on everything, and that means if I have high water temperatures, low oil pressures, if I whatever, something goes wrong, this engine's going to try to protect itself by going into what we call derating or limp mode. In other words, you've got about 1,400 engine RPMs to get wherever you have to go. In other words, you're not going to have full power. That could be even on low coolant level. All right, so if you're out in the field, you get into a limp mode, you find, oh, I've developed a leak and I'm losing coolant. Do not add regular water. Regular water has chlorine in it. Chlorine in an engine is like throwing salt in that motor. All right, distilled water only. Go to 7-Eleven, get some distilled, get it filled up so you can get it back in the shop so they can fix it. All right, but no regular water, or else we got to flush the entire cooling system, and it shortens the life of the motor. All right. So don't worry about color. We want SCA additive, or extended life extra heavy duty is what they call it, or distilled water only. All right. You guys do your pre-trip inspection, right? That's got to be done every single day. It's important because when CHP comes and visits you, that's what they're looking for is your driver's records, right? And they look for see how well how safe you're operating your vehicles. Any questions under the hood? All right. So this hood's got a gas shock on it. There's no lock on it. It's far enough over center where it won't fall down on you, but it's got gas shocks, so it won't slam down either. Sometimes we got to help it a little. Let's go up front to the front hose reel.
You almost don't want to get it dirty, do you?
I know. That's why whoever's driving
Yeah,
this.
got a freight line.
Yeah.
Alright, so we've got a little bit different control panel here. This control panel is adjustable where you can move it wherever you want. For those that are vertically challenged, we thought about you too. You can bring this down where you can reach things. Alright. So we've got everybody in mind here. This has just got a little clamping bolt on the back where you loosen it and then adjust the height. Perfect. All right. Little bit. This is still dry. It's new and tight, so a little bit of lubricant on the bar back here, and that will help move it. Again, this is adjustable and height adjustment, so you can move it wherever you want. The cover is to protect the screen. The screen is made of what they call Gorilla Glass. Pretty tough stuff. It's not going to pit real or scratch real easy, but I would still leave this protective cover on.
Does it fade with the sun really bad, or?
That's what the cover's for.
That plastic cover right there? Oh, the black guy.
That's your bug protector too. All right, so and I got to stand on the other side here. So what I want to talk about here is all your switches. First of all, let's talk about engaging things inside the truck. It's probably going to be the most difficult thing about this whole truck is learning how to control everything inside. So if I have to start the hydraulics, I'm not going to vacuum, I push one button and then I get out of the truck and go to work. Okay? If I want to vacuum, I push the one that says combo with my foot on the brake. I wait for it to tell me that it's okay to get out of the truck. So that's how hard it is to engage everything now. Pretty simple. Then once we have the key on and everything, we'll boot up this screen, and we'll do that here in just a few minutes. I didn't want to run the battery down, but let me go through my switches here and explain what we have. Notice, first of all, there's no ball valve up here, right? Because normally we would have to walk forward, back, and switch them, so we just put them all over on the side. Everything is for, any of the ball valves are all over on the side. On our switches here, we have remote control. So if I want to use a wireless remote control, all right, and this remote control has a screen on it. Everything you're going to see lit up today, you're going to be able to read here on this screen. I'm going to be able to show you engine RPMs, water flow, water pressure, footage, footage rate, how fast you're moving your hose down the line, engine oil pressure, coolant, you name it, you've got it on here. Everything that this screen shows this will show as well. If you've never run one of these, this button must always be in to save your batteries. All right, so that's the off switch, the main kill switch, kind of like this is here. So if you have an emergency, like you're watching a blonde walk down the street and your nozzle come out on you or something like that, you hit the switch and everything shuts off, but we don't kill the motor, right? We just disable everything. To pop this back out, just twist it and it'll pop out. The buttons you'll see if you do hit the emergency kill will turn from white to red. And that means that because there's been an emergency, we got to go back in the truck, put it back in road mode, and then back into the mode where we're in. So it resets it. When I go into remote here, I want to do that after I've turned this on. In order to turn this on, first of all, because the electronics are going to protect you, that's a water pump switch, right? If I had this water pump switch on in that truck and you start your hydraulics, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to get shot in the face with water if they're standing by the hose reel. That's usually the ball valve you have left open, right? This truck's smart enough to know that, oh, that switch was on, I'm not going to let the pump start because when I turn the power on, I don't want to get anybody hurt. So we disabled that pump. We won't let it work. I have to shut it off. Then when I restart it, now the pump's going to work for me. Or I might even get a message up here telling me that this is what happened and I have to clear that message. So with that being said, I have to make sure that everything is in a home position. That means all the rotary knobs have to be turned down. I can't be holding a joystick. I want to make sure that any on-off type switch is in the down or off position. Okay? To start this, there's a power button right here. And when I push and hold this, you'll see vactor light up. And once vactor lights up, you're going to see it change to a little knob. That's telling you I want to turn this and get it to pop out. Once I get that turned and popped out, and I wait 1001, 1002, I can now push remote, and then it's going to have a little panel to wireless signal up here indicating that you've connected. All right. To give you an idea what the rest of everything else is here, this is my throttle increase, decrease engine RPMs, my water pump I talked about, my multi-flow to increase water pressure, my hose reel speed, my hose reel pay in and pay out, my boom up, down, left, right, and twist to extend and retract.
What's the range on the remote?
I could probably go out in the street and work this truck, so you get good distance. All right. And if you get another truck with another remote, they're coded to this truck. It only communicates with this truck only. It won't affect another vehicle around. All right.
How much, so these guys know?
Pardon me?
How much is it for that remote?
This is probably around $8 grand.
Damn. I was about to say 1,500.
Oh, I'm losing this.
Not Hager, baby.
That's the cost of a pole camera.
Not Hager. Pole cameras are 15, bro.
Make sure you put a lock on that.
That's just gonna stay in the office. No luxuries for
And it's,
people.
it's okay to work that on the rain and stuff too, right?
Yes.
What if you drop it in the sewer or something?
Well, then
Oh, come on, Paul.
Oh, really? Is it? So
Hey.
it's not waterproof.
Hey, we're gonna put a D hook on it. Hey, we're gonna put a D hook on it somewhere, and you're gonna have a little tassel too. So if you drop it, you go with it. You'll go with it if it drops in there.
That's why there's a strap. That's why you put it around your neck, so you can't drop it.
Yeah, but then someone leaves a hole when you take it off.
Don't say that magic word. Can't.
There is another belt in the toolbox. There's another belt in the toolbox, a black belt that you wrap around you, across the straps here, so it won't
I'm
dangle.
gonna
in
be
your
all strapped
face.
down.
All right, we can get you extra strap.
That's a lot of strapping.
All right, so it's important to know that whoever is operating the boom and is operating this is the person at the end of the boom that has this on them. This has to be tethered to you because it's your vacuum relief valve. It breaks from vacuum.
All right.
You cannot work on the end of that hose and not have in arm's reach or tethered to you. You have to have a means of breaking vacuum. In case your body gets stuck in that vacuum hose, you got to get out of it. Right? So that's why the wireless has the belt around you. We've got a long enough cord. We've got a little clip on the wired type remote control where you attach it to your belt loop, so you always have it on you. That gets stuck in a hose, and I laid it on the ground, and I can't reach it now, and now I'm dying because the vacuum's sucking all the blood out of my body. Right? So, safety device. All right, you got to have it on you in order to tether to you. So that's the wireless remote. On the back of the hose reel, there's a mount. I want to turn this. Let me turn the key on. Turn the key on.